do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. This is Gary.
And this is Adam.
And we're at episode 201.
Oh, yes.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
The trouble with time travel is one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame.
I'm the Doctor. This is Rose Tyler. She's my +1. Is that all right?
That would be me.
Hello. Surprise!
Boom.
Etc.
I'm the Doctor. Do everything I tell you, don't ask stupid questions, and don't wander off.
How can you kid this? I don't like the colour.
Howdy do, Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yes.
Yes. What have you been up to, bud? You been up to anything Doctor Who-ish in the past week?
I have been diving back into Big Finish this week. I feel like, because I feel like I've had an unintentional break from it, if you know what I mean. Like, suddenly a few months have gone past, I haven't listened to anything. I thought, right, I've been buying all this stuff. It's just sat there waiting to be listened to. So, dug out the Iron In the other day, and you never believe what I actually listened to. You never believe it.
You won't believe it. Listen to this.
You won't believe it. I listened to the first story in the new Class box set.
Huh?
Yeah, I know. I thought,
okay.
Yeah, I thought I'd give it a go. I thought I'll see if Big Finish have worked their magic, because as I'm sure like regular listeners will know, I really didn't dig the TV show at all. But no, I thought I'd give the audios a go. I was drawn in by Sophie Aldred, although she's not in the first set. But no, actually, I'll be honest with you, I quite enjoyed it. I was thinking this is going to go one or two ways. I'm either going to put this on and it's going to be switched off after 10 minutes, or I'm going to get into it. And I wouldn't say it was brilliant. It was still quite cheesy. They've kept the cheesiness from the TV show, but as a story, I found it quite a good little listen. So that's only the first one in the set. I don't know what the rest of it's like, but yes, I surprised myself. Not enough to make me want to go back and watch the TV series, but it was decent. And that led me on to, after I finished listening to that, I still had half a pile of washing left, so I moved on to a bit of First Doctor, so the David Bradley volume 2 of the First Doctor Adventures. I'm going to listen to the first story, and that's very good. That was very good.
Oh, okay.
Have you got any of those?
No, I have not. I heard they're good, though. Yeah, they
are good. Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, again, the first set was good, and the second set came out a couple of months ago, and I've only just got around to starting it. I just absolutely love Bradley as the Doctor. I think if you'd have said to me before he was cast about, replacing William Hartnell, I'd have been like, no, there's only one William. And he's not replacing him, but he's just really charming as the Doctor, if you know what I mean. He works really well on audio, really well. So yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. It's weird because they've got the cast from Adventure in Space and Time playing the parts as well, and they're very good, but they don't really sound like the chap who's playing Ian doesn't sort of sound anything like him. And I think in the TV sort of episode, he got away with it because he sort of slightly looked like him, and you could sort of, didn't really matter that he didn't really sound like him. But on audio, because it's all about the voice, like particularly the woman who's playing Susan, she kind of does this sort of slightly kiddie voice. Mm-hmm. And it's slightly irritated me after a while, because I was thinking Susan didn't talk like that, that sort of kiddie. Oh, hello, Doctor. She sort of keeps doing this sort of thing. And I think, I don't know. But it was good, though. I did enjoy it. I mean, Bradley's just fantastic. And I was worried they were going down the whole First Doctor sexist thing at one point, though, because there's just one little bit in the story where him and Ian are like, you girls stay here in the TARDIS. You're women, you stay here. And I thought, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do a Moffat. But thankfully, it was just that one little bit. So,
cool.
So that's been it, really, mate. I don't know why. I've been dying to watch Invasion of the Dinosaurs all week. I don't know. Somebody must have been talking to me about it, because I've absolutely no idea where this has come from. But I was sat there the other day and I thought, I wonder if I can just sneakily get a bit Doctor Who on the telly while my other half's in the kitchen cooking. And I was thinking, I don't think I've got time, but I really fancied watching Invasion of Dinosaurs, but thus far this week has just been too busy. I haven't managed to do it, but I just got this, like sometimes you get it with the Fifth Doctor or the Seventh, you just sort of feel like you would need a bit of Fifth Doctor on the TV. I just felt like I needed a bit of Pertwee, but just haven't had time yet. Maybe later in the week. Although by the time this podcast goes out, it will be later in the week. But we're recording this on Wednesday, so I haven't been able to watch anything. But I have been listening to a bit of Big Finish, and it's been good to get back into it. Actually, it's
cool.
It just reminds me how good their stuff is. Actually, I kept imagining the Hartnell one, what it'd be like on TV, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they've sort of done it in that style of keeping the sort of, how the sort of black and white era had a sort of simple, but they always had like a little clever idea to them, rather than sort of nowadays where it's sort of a bit of action and then then a nice scene and then more action. It was a different style of writing, and they've sort of managed to do that on Big Finish with the First Doctor Adventures. And I was sort of thinking, I can imagine this story like being made, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You can sort of imagine it being brought to life on TV. So yeah, so overall very good, but that's all I've been doing, mate. Nothing much, not much in the post. I got the 13th Doctor doll arrived. That's about the only thing.
I saw that. Yep, looks good.
Yeah, she's good actually. It's weird, isn't it? I didn't have myself down as a doll person. I love my figures, but I didn't have myself down as a sort of doll person. But she's brilliant actually. No pun intended. She is brilliant.
Brilliant.
I took her out in the garden and did some, put her in various poses and took some pictures, and it looks really good. I'm actually quite impressed with it, actually.
Nice.
Yes, just ramping up my excitement for Series 11 even more.
Indeedy.
Yes. So that's been me, mate. What about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I've had a fairly quiet one as always.
Yeah.
Unless we're going off to any cons or anything, it's been fairly quiet. I did like you though. I was along the same lines, thinking I haven't got into any Big Finish recently, so. I actually saw on Twitter there's a really cool cover artist for Big Finish, Simon. I forget his surname, Simon something. And he's a really cool Simon Holub. And I saw like a textless version of the design he did for the recently released The Dispossessed, which is the Seventh Doctor story. There's a trilogy that's sort of halfway through with Big Finish. So we had Red Planets. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did, yeah.
With Sophie Aldred and Bonnie Langford.
Yeah. Who
have teamed up with the Doctor. So Red Planets, and then I think it was just the other day they released The Dispossessed, which is the second one in the trilogy. And I can't remember what the next one's called. Anyway, so I picked up Red Planets and The Dispossessed, but I haven't listened to them yet, but I'm looking forward to listening to those. But the artwork that Simon did for those is really, really good.
I must admit, really I was so tempted to get them. It's only because the old wallet's looking a bit thin on the ground, because I looked at that trilogy because they're bringing back a character, and I've forgotten his name. Looks like a big toad. And he's in the third part, isn't he?
Yes.
And again, I love the cover, and I was thinking, I like a bit of McCoy on audio. So, yeah, I was really tempted to get these, mates. So you'll have to let me know if they're good, because, I just fancied dipping into a bit of McCoy on Big Finish myself, but I just couldn't afford them at the time, if you know what I mean. I was thinking, and then suddenly the second one's already out, so I'm already 2 behind and blah, blah, blah. But, I might pick them up at some point. They do look good. And I agree with you about the covers.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so I'm going to stick those on later once we're done recording.
Yeah, cool.
The third one sounds cool, the Quantum Possibility Engine.
Yeah, I just love the cover of that one.
Yeah, it's cool. So I've picked those up. I'll give those a listen. The only other thing really is I had a bit of a lazy Sunday morning, and the channel we have in the UK, they had a bit of a Tennant marathon going on.
Oh, yeah, I saw you tweet about that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very cool. They normally only play like 2 or 3 episodes, but they had Tennant running from, I think it was about 9 o'clock in the morning through to 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I picked up with halfway through The Family of Blood.
Oh, I love that 2-parter.
And then Blink and Utopia. And all that. So it was really cool just to have a bit of a lazy one. And
there's some good stuff in Series 3, isn't there?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yes, very cool stories, yeah. So, so that was good. Other than that, buddy, it's been fairly quiet.
Have you seen any pictures from the VORP
yes.
convention? Because I was in turmoil over that. And you were as well, weren't you? We both so wanted to go to VORP. It was a convention in Manchester. the weekend. And I sort of kept looking at travel costs, and they were quite expensive. And I was thinking, well, I probably need to stay the night before, to make the most of the convention. And so I was looking at hotels, and they were okay, but you were sort of still looking at sort of a couple of £100 before you've even got to the convention. And and then our good friend Paul McMahon offered me his ticket because he couldn't go. He's like, "Oh, if you want my ticket, mate." And I was like, "Oh no!" Just when I decided I couldn't go, he came out with that. So I was like, "Oh no, I'm back to being all indecisive again." And so I went back, checked out the train times again, and all weekend I was like, shall I go tomorrow? I could do it. It can be done. But it was just the money, mate. I mean, train fares are ridiculously expensive over here. I was shocked how much it was to get to Manchester from where I am. So I was like, I had to rule it out. But I must admit, it was great seeing everyone's pictures of the event, and it looked really cool. It looked like they were sort of sat in it looked like all the guests were sort of sat in a restaurant or bar, didn't it? They were like sat in these really comfy seats, like if you go into like I don't know, Bodine's or wherever. It just looked like a really cool relaxed event. So I'm keeping my eye on next year, because I think they're going to do another one, so I might try and get down for that. But that did look good. It did look good. It
looked really good. Yeah. And I was in much the same situation, mate. It was to go, not to go, the age-old question. But it did look very, very cool. And
I was impressed with the guests they got, because it's the first time these guys have actually managed to get a convention together. It's their first convention. And we were talking, weren't we, a couple of episodes back, how difficult it must be to get proper big names, from Doctor Who, because of the cost of getting them there. And but they did really good. I think they got got Colin Baker, obviously. Paul McGann was there. Peter Davison was there. Katie Manning. I forget the others, but there was a good, they got some really good guests there for a first time event from them. So I think they've done well.
No, they did. And they also had some good panels there as well, I believe. There's some, one of the popular ones that was doing around was the Time Ladies. They hosted a cool panel. Yeah. They had Sophie Aldred there and Joe Grant, I think.
Katie Manning,
Joe Grant. Katie Manning.
I do that all the time. I notice it on my videos as well. I'll switch from saying 13th Doctor to Jodie Whittaker in a breath without, Jodie's coat looks good. The Doctor's Sonic's this. It's like I do it all the time.
And someone else was there. Crystal D.
Crystal, yeah.
Yeah, so it looked really good, overall, because it's the first one that they've done. It's sometimes with conventions, they even experienced companies that put on conventions can have moments of, disorganisation and not sort of being run too well. But as the first one, from what I'm hearing, it went really smooth and was all good. So I'm sure they'll put another one on, because it sounds successful. So we'll try and get to the next one.
We'll keep an eye on that, yeah. Because, of course, the big one we want to do is Gallifrey 1, isn't it? That's the one we've always wanted to get to.
Yeah.
And one day we shall. One day we shall get there. One day, yeah. We'll be like grizzled ancients by then, won't we? Hobbling in on our sticks. Hello, we used to be the Big Blue Box podcast. Yeah, we'll get there one day.
One day. They would be cool, though.
Yeah, it would.
Yes. Right, yeah, that's what we've been up to. Like I said, hope you guys have had a fantastic week. To any new listeners who have jumped on board, waving, hello. This is the Big Blue Box podcast. We're here every week, every Friday morning, running you through what's going on in the world of Who. We don't do rumours and very often and all that stuff, so we do try to give you news and merch updates on what's upcoming or what's just been released, etc. So welcome aboard. Anyone that's been with us for ages, welcome back. But enough of all that. Enough of it. Shall we land it and see what's going on?
Yes.
This will be cool news for lots of people. And they've left it a bit late. Be honest with you. They have left it a wee bit late, but indeed, the Beeb has finally revealed the broadcast date for the upcoming Series 11.
Yes.
A bit of a controversial shift over to Sunday nights, but it's going to kick off on Sunday, the 7th of October.
Hurrah.
Hurrah, hurrah. What do you reckon on Sunday nights, dude?
I'm fine with it. I'm amazed. Well, I shouldn't be because it's Doctor Who fandom, but I'm amazed at the amount of backlash this got just because it's moving from a Saturday to a Sunday. It's like maybe it's because I remember the days of watching Peter Davison, in the week. Can you imagine Doctor Who on in the week? But no, I think this is a good move. I'm really happy about it. I don't know about you because I'm quite often out on a Saturday, so a Sunday nights. I'm rarely out, I don't think. So for me, this is good because it means I can go out on a Saturday. I can be all hungover and snuggled up on the sofa on a Sunday evening, ready to go back to work on a Monday, and I can watch Doctor Who the night before. So I'm very happy with this, to be honest with you. I think it'll be good for the show as well, I hope, because I think it, the whole time shifting around with series 8 and 9 and 10 was just ridiculous. Even Peter Capaldi said he didn't know what time he was on because they kept moving the time. So I'm hoping by having it on the Sunday, it'll be hopefully more of a regular time slot for Doctor Who, because it's strictly Come Dancing, isn't it? That is the reason it keeps getting bumped around on a Saturday. Is that right? Or it was?
No, it's the X Factor.
Oh, the X Factor.
Yeah, because Strictly is the same. I think it's more to do with, because obviously it's not in competition with Strictly because it's on the same channel, but it's, the X Factor's kicked off again. I think that's been going for a week or two now.
Yeah.
And I think, does that run right up to Christmas? I think it does, doesn't it? The X Factor?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, ready for the Christmas single, yeah.
Yeah, so they've moved it away from Saturday nights, but the problem is that Strictly has its result show on the Sunday night. So Strictly's on both nights. And so it will either be before or after Strictly, I would say. So, I mean, in terms of sort of powerhouse viewing from the BBC, it's great because everyone's going to be watching the BBC on a Sunday evening. You've got Strictly, which is a really popular show, and then
I think so, yeah,
it'll be preceded or whatever by Doctor Who. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind on a Sunday night either. I think it's I know a lot of people have complained, but that's just Who fandom.
It's nothing new.
Who fans will complain about everything that they announce about the show, but I think it's quite cool. And the US, our friends in the US are going to get it broadcast at exactly the same time as us.
Yeah, which is good.
Which is cool. And so that means that they'll actually get it earlier in the day. So we'll get it exactly the same time, but they'll get it sort of in the afternoon on a Sunday as opposed to Sunday evening. But
there's one thing I am worried about. I mean, I'm perfectly happy with it being on a Sunday night, but I am slightly worried about the time slot. I don't know about you, because for me, I think perfect time would be about 7:00 in the evening. But I get the feeling it's going to be earlier. I think it, like you said, I think it'll probably be on before Strictly. So which will be sort of 5:45 time. And yeah, it's still okay. But personally, I would have loved to have seen it on around about 7:00. I don't know. What about you? What's a good time, do you think?
I don't know. Well, for me personally, I quite like to watch it having dinner. So on a Sunday we have dinner fairly. I mean, it wouldn't broadcast this time anyway, but we have dinner fairly early on a Sunday, around 4:00.
Oh, okay.
And I know that it wouldn't go out that early, but at the same time, I don't want it to be sort of in betweeny, if that makes sense. Because
I know. Yeah,
it's very difficult, but I don't want people to be sort of going out on a Sunday and doing their stuff, and then coming home sort of in the afternoon and having to rush home to watch Doctor Who. I'd rather them get home and be settled, have some dinner, and then like a little while to have the kettle on them, and then it's on the screen. But I don't know. Whatever time they choose, I'm sure we'll all be around the TV ready. But I don't know.
What do you think of the title then? So the first episode's revealed as The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Bit of a play on the David Bowie title, that. But I quite like that. It kind of ties in with the cliffhanger ending we got, doesn't it? So
yeah, it's we'll have to see what the title. I mean, it seems a bit obvious at the moment.
It does, yeah.
Because at the end of when we very first see Jodie, she's literally, TARDIS is on fire and whatever, and she's literally falling out. So the title seems a little bit obvious at the moment, but I'm hoping it might have a bit more of a meaning. I don't know. But do you like it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah, Woman Who Fell to Earth. Yes, it's like you said, it does seem a bit obvious, but we'll see. It's like everything to do with Series 11 so far. It doesn't give much away, so I quite like that. No. What do you think of the trailer as well? We got a new little, not trailer. It's like a teaser. Would you call it? With like a glass ceiling smashing into fragments and Jodie going, whoops.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's quite cool. It's very, as we've seen in the build-up to Series 11, it's very short and sweet and doesn't give anything away as usual. The Chibbers seems to be really just not showing anything at all.
Nothing.
But no, I think it's quite funny. It's a cool, and I love Jodie in that little scene. She's very cool.
I liked it. A lot of people mentioned the music in it, didn't they? Saying what is, because they used two quite current like tracks from the charts. I mean, I'm not really down with the kids, so I couldn't tell you what either of the songs are, but they're quite current, aren't they? And Doctor Who doesn't normally do that. Normally it has a bit of specially composed music. So in this one, I don't know, do you know what the songs are? I mean,
I don't. I recognise them though.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head. But
no.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Doctor Who rarely uses current pop songs.
Pop songs, yeah.
In its in any of its material. So yeah,
I'll tell you this though, it's been stuck in my head ever since. Because one of them says something about gonna start again. It's gonna be a fresh start. It's like, oh right, okay, really hammering it home.
Yes,
I can imagine the moth sat at home with a big glass of red wine, going, "Yeah, get you," at the screen. Gonna start again, fresh start. So yeah, I think it worked all right. It was a little bit jarring the very first time I watched it. I was thinking, what is this music? This is a bit weird. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it kind of made me sit up and, what the hell's this sort of thing? So It looked good as well. I was kind of hoping that there'd be some hidden pictures in all those shards of glass. I was thinking, I wonder if the Chibbers has hidden a monster or two in there for us to freeze frame, but I don't think he has.
No, he's too clever.
He's far too clever for that. But yeah, it looks good, didn't it? Visually, it was quite nice. And I had to Google I've never heard that phrase about breaking the glass ceiling before.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say, I feel a bit out of touch there. But yeah, it means like it's empowerment of women, empowerment of groups, or
It could be. It's got a bit of a metaphorical.
So it had a bit of a meaning to it, because everyone was going on about it on Twitter saying, "Oh, I see what you did there, breaking the glass." And I was like, "What? I've not heard that before." But yeah,
it's like a glass ceiling. It's when you feel like something has got like as far as it can go. It's sort of, I think that's what it's trying to say anyway, but I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. Yeah, thought it was a nice little teaser.
Yeah, so the 7th of October, Sunday.
That's it. Yep. Can't wait. Only a couple of weeks. Right, our Australian friends are getting a treat as well, because this particular episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, is going to be premiered in cinemas on the 8th of October. So it's a couple of hours after it's actually broadcast on, the UK and US televisions. So that'll be cool. So I do love going to see Doctor Who at the cinema. We've said this before. So unfortunately, Australia is a little bit far for me to go for this, but it's great for our Australian listeners, because it's going to be quite, it's going to be across the nation, it says. So there's quite a few participating cinemas doing this. So there's also going to be a little feature length. There's also going to be a little snippet of behind the scenes as well, as an extra treat. I guess that'll be after the showing. So quite a nice little event if you can get along to it. I did try clicking. We had a link to all the listed cinemas, but unfortunately it's not coming up on my screen. But it's going to be in quite a few, I think. I don't know if you've got the list to hand, but
the list,
I couldn't get it to come up, unfortunately.
No, it shows the Sharmil Films website, but it says that we couldn't find the page you're looking for. So I don't know if they've moved the link or whatever. But unless I click on this one, here we go. So, wow, it's shown in loads.
Is it? Which is great. That's good then.
Obviously, New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland. I wonder if our friend Sammy will be able to get to this.
I was trying to think which part of Australia Sammy's in. Yeah.
Should give us the lowdown on it. But no, it's really cool. We did have a brief conversation about this, I'm pretty sure, in the build-up to Series 11. And we said, it doesn't sound like they're going to do any of these sort of cinema premieres and all that stuff. But
that's right.
It seems like the Aussies have snuck one in.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I like the fact it's after it's been shown as well, because I think, like when we were saying about them doing cinema releases, it was very unlikely the Chibbers would do a premiere like they did with, was it Series 8, where they showed it about a week before or something? Or they've done it a couple of times, haven't they? Yeah, we couldn't see the Chibbers doing that. But yes, very cool.
It is. There you go. In other news, this is a bit sad. I'm getting fed up with doing these.
I know.
These sad news announcements. It's not good. But Peter Benson, who played Bohr in the Fifth Doctor story Terminus, he's one of the Varney, has passed away sadly at the age of 75. And he was really good in that.
He was, because it's not the best story,
Exactly.
but he does stick in my mind. Like, sometimes the actors, you sort of think, I can't quite remember them. Or he does, as soon as I saw the picture of him, I was like, oh, yes. I knew straight away who he was, sort of thing.
Yeah. So you're right. Yeah, it's not the greatest of the Fifth Doctor era. No. But I remember his character, though. He didn't have the biggest, but he was, I just remember him. I'm not just saying that because we're, reading this article, but I remember him from that story. It was very, very good. And he did. I don't remember seeing him in many other things, but apparently he was in the Corrie for a while. He was in the Bill, and he did a bunch of theatre work as well. But yeah, it's very sad. He leaves us at the age of 75.
75. Yeah. Yes.
And the last bit of news.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was thinking that was me. Yes, there is. Sorry, I need to wake up. Yeah, there is another bit of great news, actually. I thought this had been forgotten about. I don't know about you, but K9, do you remember that movie?
The one that was meant to be out in Christmas 2017?
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. Was it called Time Quest or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Well, it's still there. They're still beavering away, trying to get it made and stuff. But there's been quite a big advancement on this, actually. So they're actually now going to tie it in with an actual TV series, which is going to, be centered all around K9. And whoever they are, have teamed up with a major US and UK company that are developing this multi-million-dollar series, which is going to establish K9 as the brand. And then this will tie in with the film. So it's also going to bring back the character of Omega, which was, that was rumoured ages ago, wasn't it? About this movie of Omega and going K9. So, yeah, it's all happening. But we're looking at, I think it's going to go into production early sort of 2019. So we're still quite a way off.
Yeah.
So don't go booking your cinema ticket yet. But it's good to know it's still kicking around out there, because I thought it'd just been completely dropped. I don't know about you. It's been so long since we heard anything about this film. And I never saw they did a sort of update of the K9, didn't they? They did a TV series. Was it Australian or
Australian? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I never got to see that, but I remember it didn't go down very well. But hopefully this one will be good, because I do love K9.
Absolutely, I'm hoping so. And so it's interesting that this deal that they've worked up with a US/UK company to bring a TV series rocking and rolling, as well as the feature film that was originally planned anyway.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It sounds like a lot of money is because it says a new multi-million-dollar series, or series plural, which will establish the K9 brand. So it sounds like they're really pushing hard to make it a proper standalone brand of its own that can run alongside Doctor Who. But it sounds like they're pumping a lot of money into it. I hope it pays off, because the last thing we want is this to be a flop and K9 sort of drifts back into the distance of just popping up in Classic Who now and then. But I'm hoping it does well, because it's a great little character. Everyone loves K9, so
yeah.
I don't know.
If they get it right, it'll be good. Let's put it that way, was it? If they get it right.
Oh, absolutely, mate. If they get it right, it'll be awesome.
Could be great. Yeah.
That's it for news. What has our tin friend got for us this week?
Get him in.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
This is very pretty, if you're into this sort of thing. So I think about 2 or 3 months ago now, we said that the Christmas special Twice Upon a Time was going to get a 4K Ultra HD or 4K Blu-ray release in the US, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even notice this was up in the UK, but you can order it in the UK now. So the 4K version of Twice Upon a Time, and it's going to come with the standard Blu-ray as well. It's being released on September the 24th. interestingly enough. And yeah, what do you got on this one?
It doesn't really appeal to me. I mean, I don't have a 4K television, so it's kind of goes over my head a bit, this one. But great, I suppose, if you do. I guess it's an upscale, though, rather than a direct transfer, is it?
Ooh.
Because it says here the extras have not been upscaled, so I'm assuming. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's not the best story. I recently rewatched it, actually, and I did really enjoy it despite all its like flaws. I actually found it quite a fun little watch, but I have to be in the right mood for it. It's mainly because I just love David Bradley. But yeah, I don't know. Great if you've got a 4K, I guess. I mean, visually it's very nice. Like the battle scenes and that do look fantastic in it. So I guess it would be good to have that in 4K. But yeah, I don't think I'll be getting it myself. But
yeah, it does seem like a strange, and it's always the way with any kind of format where you've had something filmed in a certain resolution, and then they try and release it as like the next level up. So in this case, I'm pretty sure this would have been filmed in HD.
Yeah.
And what they've done is, yeah, you're right. So in the description, it says, for the first time, experienced Doctor Who like never before, upscaled to glorious 4K. Now that to me I think if people aren't sort of fully aware of what that means, they could potentially wander in blindly and think, oh yeah, Doctor Who's going to be on 4K. And I've got a 4K player, but I won't be ordering this because it's upscaled. I'll only order anything in 4K if it's been filmed and mastered in 4K, because it's a bit like with standard, with the thing that we've gone through with certain TV shows where they're fairly old and they bring them out on Blu-ray and they've just been upscaled, and it makes obviously there's an improvement in the image because the resolution's, higher, but the source material you can still tell that it hasn't had the proper treatment.
Sometimes it looks worse, doesn't it? Sometimes if something's a bit grainy or dark, it actually looks worse for being upscaled because it looks fuzzy. Yeah. Yeah, which is why the season 12 Blu-ray set that we picked up, what was it, a couple of months ago now? Or last month, which is why I was really happy to see all of the supporting articles or whatever of the restoration team actually cleaning up the image for those Blu-rays from the original source material. Yeah, it does make a big difference.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll maybe not have ordered it anyway, just because it's just that thing with Doctor Who Christmas specials. None of them really sort of jump out at you as like, these are amazing Doctor Who stories.
They should be as well. They're like mini movies, but they never are really.
Yeah. So if this was filmed in 4K and all the rest of it, then potentially I might have done. But otherwise, if you want it, if this is your thing though, then crack on. The end of September, and it's 18 quid on Amazon at the moment.
And just to say, it is not extended as well. A lot of people, when this first was announced, that it had a sort of extra long running time, and people were a little bit excited that it might include the 10th Planet stuff that they recorded but never included. So there was some really good stuff cut from this, and I think people were hoping this might have been an extended edition, but according to the runtime, it's still 60 minutes and it's still got the same extras as the DVD. So yeah, not quite sure who it appeals to, but if it does appeal to you, like Gary said, yeah, it's out 24th of September. Right, on to something that does appeal to me. I think this will appeal to you as well. The Dr. Men books that we've been getting. It's funny, isn't it? They released 4 or 5 to begin with, and then there was a bit of a gap, and then all of a sudden we've caught up, and Dr. 13th is on her way, and that will complete our run. Then, yeah, so we'll have them all then. So she's coming out, I think it's January next year, is it? Not too sure.
I think it is January.
Yes, I guess
so.
I can't see it now, but I'm sure it's January.
Yeah.
I'm always interested when they announce these to see how they've caricatured the, each Doctor, because I think some of them we've said look great, and then sometimes we get bizarre little things, like the Third Doctor had his monocle, didn't he? And we were like, don't remember the Third Doctor and monocle. This one, I'm a little bit disappointed with it, to be honest with you, because it's just a bit boring. Because the 30th Doctor is so colourful in her outfit, and this is just because I'm colourblind, I can't tell what colour is she.
So she's
orange,
yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah, so she's like the best way to describe. So the body is like a mustard yellow.
Mustard, right.
And the hair is a lighter yellow. Yes.
So she's just all yellow then. Yeah, I was going to say, because to me she looks slightly orange, but I am colourblind. And to me she looks like she's been on a sunbed for the last hour. But yeah, I don't know. It's still fun. It's still cute. And I will get them because I do love these Mr. Men books. But yeah, I'm just a little bit disappointed. I think they could have done something a bit more exciting with it.
I'm just reading through. I think it's out in November, actually. Actually, hold on. That's the Kindle edition. So yeah, the paperback. I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's. Oh no, it does say the 6th of November.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so November we'll be getting this one. But I'm slightly confused on the look, though. I will be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because looking at some of the other characters that they created for these, they've all got their sort of unique little things that. So, for example, Matt Smith's Doctor is, doesn't have any clothes on, but he's got the fez and the little bow tie. The same for Capaldi. No clothes, but he's got the sonic sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Etc. Whereas Jodie, she's, she hasn't got any clothes on. All she's got is the little socks and boots. Now, socks and boots and in her current costume as the Doctor isn't the standout feature to me. It's her T-shirt and the braces and potentially the coat. And it seems strange that they've gone with that because it looks like she's,
naked.
Yeah, well, they're all naked, but, they've all got their little distinguishing features. But her distinguishing feature is not her socks and boots to me.
No, you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. Yeah. I was thinking earlier, she just looks really plain, but that's exactly what it is. So you're right. Like 4's got his scarf, 7's got his question mark umbrella. Don't know about Colin.
He's got his little...
It cracks me up every time I look at the 6th Doctor. Just a big pink blob with a little bow tie. But yeah, you're right. It's because she hasn't got anything. It's it does make her look a bit plain compared to the others. Yeah, maybe that's why they gave 3rd a monocle. That is bizarre, isn't it? I'm sure they could have thought of something for him, even if it was just his Sonic. I mean, yeah.
Anyways, it does seem a bit. You're right, though. It's a bit plain.
A bit plain.
Yeah.
But I'll still be getting it because I love the books.
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
And lastly for merch, moving on, but carrying along the Roger Hargreaves theme with the whole Mr. Men, Little Miss thing, they're bringing out a collection. So all 13 Doctors are going to come out. And we're unsure at the moment what this actually is, whether it's a complete set of all the 13 books together or if it's a single book with stories of all 13 Doctors. We're not sure yet. There isn't enough details. But this will be coming out. Is it a similar time or is it next year? So next year. So March next year.
Okay.
So a little bit further to wait for this one. But this is a collection of all the 13 Doctors. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's a collection of stories or if it's a collection of each individual book that you can pick up. But they're making a little push with this. I like it. I like that they're still doing the mashup for these. Are very, very cute. Some of them a little bit hit and miss, but overall they're very cute. Love it.
I'm just laughing because I'm looking at the 8th Doctor one. He looks like the Incredible Hulk, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Some of them are hit and miss.
Very hit and miss.
Like, the 8th Doctor one, especially Pertwee. He's kind of got the hair right, but you just rarely... I can't remember any episode with that bloody monocle.
No, they've given the 1st Doctor one, but yes, that I can relate to. Yes, he had but not Pertwee. No.
I don't know.
But yeah, nice little set though, that I think.
Yes.
Be good to get, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's going to do for news and merch. Right. Review time. Right. Review time. Torchwood, what we got, dude?
Torchwood, yeah. So carrying on series 1 with the episode Small Worlds.
If they want to, they can make great storms, wild seas, turn the world to ice, kill every living thing. Let me go.
The child won't be harmed.
Child, you can't.
Answer me! She won't be harmed.
I told you, she lives forever.
Dead world, is that what you want?
What good is that to you? There will be no more chosen ones.
They'll find us back in time.
Take her.
You asked me what chance we have against them. For the sake of the world, this is our only chance.
Jack and I have always disagreed about fairy. I only see the good ones. He only ever sees the bad.
They're all bad.
They're friendly, loving creatures.
Torchwood, Sunday at 10 on BBC Three.
BBC Three.
BBC Three, I know. Good old days.
Good old days, yeah. So, Small Worlds. It was broadcast in November 2006. It was written by Peter Hammond, directed by Alice Troughton, and obviously produced... hold on. Co-produced by Chris Chibnall. Chibbers again.
Getting in there.
Overseen by RTD and Julie Gardner. It's got the usual cast. Very, very light on
supporting cast?
Yanto, sorry.
Oh, Yanto, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, very, very light on Yanto once again. And supporting cast is, there's a few. Not too big, but there's a few. And the story is, it's about the age-old classic fairy story. And it centres around the really old photographs that were... I'm sure this is a real thing. It was based on those really old photographs with that woman in the forest with the fairies that everybody thought was... Well, they tried to convince for decades that it was real. And then when they were OAPs, the women that took the photo said, yeah, it's all fake, by the way. I'm pretty sure this story is based on those photos, those old black and white photos. And this is like Torchwood's, their version of it. And essentially it's this old woman that used to be Captain Jack's girlfriend way back during the war, the First World War. And she took a photo of the fairies and said, these things are real, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how, but Captain Jack is fully aware of this whole world of fairies.
That's right, yeah. He is.
And all that stuff. And he's essentially saying, no, fairies are bad. Bad beings. They have the power to travel in time. They have the power to control the elements, and they can, destroy life and the planet and all the rest of it. And the fairies, every once in a while, it sounds like they target a child, a small girl, and label them as the chosen one. And they take the child and turn them into a fairy, I suppose, and then they're part of the little fairy group. And it centres around this little girl called... Is it Estelle?
No, that's the old woman.
Oh, that's the old woman, isn't it? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The young woman, the young girl then, I think is called Kate. I think that's...
Jasmine, isn't it? The little
Jasmine,
girl?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, Jasmine, yes. She's been targeted as the chosen one. The fairies are after her, and it's down to Captain Jack and Torchwood to save her. But I don't know if depressingly is the right word, but depressingly at the end, Jack just sends her off with the fairies.
He does.
The father-in-law's been killed. The wifey, she's left distraught. And, I didn't feel very good after watching this one, I'll be honest with you. I know it's Torchwood and it's meant to lean further on the darker side of the world of Doctor Who, and it's not all happy and roses and everything gets saved like it is in Who, but I still felt a bit like,
bit of a downer.
A bit of a downer after this one, but, that's the crux of the story. What did you reckon to this one, Small Worlds?
Yeah. It's a strange one, isn't it? It's a really strange story. Me and you both said last week or whenever it was that we couldn't remember anything about this. We both felt like we maybe hadn't even seen it, didn't we? I mean, I knew I had because I've watched them all, but nothing about this stuck in our mind. And I kept thinking now that probably means it's really bad, but it's just strange. I don't know what to say. I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed what was going on. I certainly enjoyed it more than some of the previous episodes, because so far I'm finding Series 1 of Torchwood really uneven. Certainly nowhere near as good as I remember so far. Mm-hmm. But this one I enjoyed it because it had a slower pace to it, if that makes sense. It took its time. Like Cyberwoman, which was the last one we reviewed, was just like turned into 1.5 hour chase sequence in the end, and it was just chase, action, shooting, chase, action, shooting. It's just, it got so repetitive and boring. One thing I did like about this is that although the story was strange, it took its time, but it did play out the story quite well. So I did enjoy the slower pace of this and the storytelling rather than just action, action, action all the time.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see, Jack and Gwen just being a bit quieter and, just centering around them two mainly. Because like you say, the other guys kind of get sidelined a bit in this story. But like you, the ending was just a bit... Yeah, it's sort of finished. And, like when we were reviewing Sarah Jane, like we've both said, we can't wait to go on to the next episode, but we hold ourselves back because, we're enjoying it so much. And with this one, I sort of switched it off and went, oh, okay. There was none of that sort of, I look forward to when we do the next Torchwood episode. There was none of that sort of feeling at the end of this. So I totally get what you mean. But but I think so far, considering the stories we've had up to this point, which have been very uneven, I would say this is one of the better ones so far in Series 1. I enjoyed it despite the strange, subject matter, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah. But just odd. Enjoyable, but odd.
It was an odd one.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it, or did you, because you said you were a bit deflated at the end, or did you find it a bit of a slog?
I found it... No, I didn't find it a slog, really. I just found it a little bit out of character for Torchwood. Because, I don't know, Torchwood's not just isolated to your classic Who aliens, I know that. It just seems like don't get me wrong, it's a cool, sort of quirky, sort of out of left field sort of story, because it kind of deals with two things at the same time. You're right, the rest of the cast get left behind a little bit, so it does concentrate mainly on Jack and sort of Jack and Gwen's relationship a little bit. They seem to be getting a little bit closer still. Yeah. So Jack is like the focus of it, and so it's about him. But then you've also got the other thing, which is the fairy thing, and it's on paper it sounds a bit ludicrous. It sounds a bit like Torchwood investigating fairies, but then the way that they've been done is quite cool, I would say. It's not like it's not like Tinkerbell from Peter Pan, where you just got like a little dangling light on the end of some fishing line and that sort of thing. That sort of, it doesn't go down the sort of Disney magical fairy story thing, if that makes sense. It's more about, and I like the riff that they've taken on it, where Jack's absolutely crapping himself throughout the whole story because he knows the threat, he knows what these things can actually do. So I like that part of it. It just seems to be, I can't put my finger on it. It's just something about the story just feels very not very, but slightly out of place for Torchwood, if that makes sense. It just feels like it's don't get me wrong, it's a great little, I don't know how to describe it, like a monster of the week sort of thing. It's a great, if you take the Captain Jack things out of it, it's a great little isolated story. Yeah. That's kind of cool. And what was this thing? Oh, it was the Cottingley Fairies. It was based on. It was these two women in sort of 1920, 1918, something like that. They were cousins, and they took these photographs with the alleged fairies. And I think one of them pops up at the end of Torchwood, and when Gwen zooms in at the end, it's the little girl. It's the little girl, Jasmine face. So it is true what Jack was saying. They can travel back and forward through time, and they can be fairly mean. What did you think too? Because I quite like how they were portrayed in this. Everyone thinks that they're these cute little loving things, that sprites you see in the forest and all the rest of it. But like I said, Jack's crapping himself throughout the whole episode, and it's not until you see what they're capable of. Now this bit's a bit close to the knuckle, because how we see the creepy guy that's hanging outside the school, how we see what happens to him shortly afterwards. I quite like what these fairies are capable of. Yeah. How do you think? Did you like how these were portrayed versus the classic little cute fairy.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the story work for me, is that because I've never thought of fairies as being scary before. And they do quite a good job, I think, actually, because, they keep when we sort of see the actual fairies in their realistic form, they look quite gross, don't they? They're quite scary. I mean, CGI is dated, obviously, but I like the design of it. But yeah, it's more the use of this flower petal thing that they shove down people's throats and choke them with. And so that bit when that guy is stumbling through the market, coughing up all these petals, is gross.
Yeah,
it's horrible. Yeah. But it does have the effect that it's supposed to, of making what these fairies do actually quite horrific and scary. So, yeah, I thought that was good. I thought that sort of brought it home that don't dismiss them just because they're fairies. They're actually quite nasty, capable of quite nasty things. But the good thing is, because you think, I suppose, that they're evil, but then they're not really, are they? Because like the guy turns out to be a paedophile, so they're just sort of taking care of the chosen one, aren't they? Because he tries to snatch her at one point. So yeah, it's I thought it was done quite well. I mean, I did find that quite hard to watch when he was coughing up the petals. It was it went on quite long, didn't it? It wasn't just sort of one, because I thought that would be it when he sort of coughs up the first lot. And then there's sort of 3 or 4 shots of him just keep constantly coughing up these petals. It was quite grim.
It was gross, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did we get something similar to that in class? Something to do with petals?
We had, it was the little flowers that were killing people. Do you remember? And there was thousands of them that sort of swept in from, I can't remember the story because
no, I know. I just kept thinking all the way through, did something like this happen in class? Because I remember it wasn't done as effective of this, because it's really quite horrific in this. And I seem to remember in class we were just laughing at all these petals going across the road and people going, "Oh no," or whatever it was. But yeah, it's quite grim in this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, mate. I've only watched Class once. I haven't rewatched any of them since
No, I
they
haven't
went out,
either. No.
Yeah, there was definitely
a petal thing.
A petal thing. Yeah. And I think, what am I trying to say here? Sometimes in Doctor Who, where there's like there's a line, isn't there, between science and science fiction and magic. And there's a couple of select stories in Doctor Who where you think, are we sort of crossing that line a little bit? Are we going in? It's a bit like Battlefield, the 7th Doctor story.
Oh, the Merlin stuff.
Yeah. It feels a little bit like that. It feels a little bit like there's a line. It's a science fiction show, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with including references to sort of magical, mythological creatures or anything like that. But these fairies, they seem to be this sort of omnipresent, all-powerful, nothing to do at all with science fiction or anything like that. And I think that's what I'm trying to say, actually. Before we get onto characters, it does feel like a bit like they're crossed over that line just a little bit in the realm of these are magical creatures. They're not aliens. Because Gwen does ask Jack, she says, "Are these alien?" And again, while Jack's crapping his pants, he seems to do that through the entire story.
He does, yeah.
He's like, "No." And then he does this little monologue where he says these creatures are everywhere, but they're nowhere. And they travel through time and they have the power to destroy whatever. So I think it's just that if they would have, because sometimes what they do in Doctor Who is they get around this thing by sort of creatures or monsters that we've known in human history. It turns out, like, what was the Matt Smith story with the vampires in Venice?
Yeah, Vampires of Venice.
Vampires of Venice, yeah. It's a bit like that, where we know them as classically as vampires, but Doctor Who sort of spins it a little bit and says, no, they're aliens from this planet. And that's how Doctor Who gets around this sort of magical, mythological creature sometimes. But they didn't do that at all with Torchwood, because Gwen does say, "Are they alien?" And he's like, "No." So it would have been, I don't know if it would have been better or worse for that. I'm not sure if they would have said, actually, these little things are actually from the planet whatever. And they've got this power and they're after this because they need to charge their ship somewhere, or they need to charge a crystal somewhere that powers their ship or whatever. I'm not sure, but I just think my head just spins a little bit after I watched this one. It's only the second time I've seen it. And my head just spins a little bit. with that magical line. I'm not sure.
I do get what you mean. I must admit there were a couple of bits where I wasn't 100% sure what was actually happening. I must admit there was a point where after he'd finished, because I'd made a few notes, and one of the notes I wrote was, why did they kill Estelle? Because that wasn't clear to me. So I sort of quickly flicked back to the scene to sort of find out, and it kind of is just because she's messing around with the fairy world, and she sort of summons them, and there isn't really an explanation as far as I could tell. I
think it was just that, mate. She was messing around in their world, sort of thing.
Yeah. So she gets killed. So I mean, I guess it's all there, but I did think sometimes the sort of story got a little bit lost. And as I said, I liked the slower pace. I like the fact that it just sort of told the story, but about 35 to 40 minutes in, it did feel like they were really had to they felt about 10 minutes where they were really stretching it, and that it needed to cut to the conclusion, because there was a bit where there's like this build up towards the end where they're sort of coming. It's when the dad's having the the barbecue or whatever, and and the school. So there's sort of all this wind blowing around the school, and everyone's getting terrified. And that seemed to really go on too long. I kept thinking, right, so everyone's scared, more scared, act scared. Right, it's more wind. You're scared. They're coming. They're getting it. I kept thinking, they're taking a blimmin' long time. Yeah. And it felt like it was just about sort of 5 or 10 minutes too long. Because as I said, I like the concept of the story, but it felt like it struggled really to fill I think it's 45 minutes or an hour.
They're 50 minutes.
50 minutes. They're in between. So it felt like it just struggled a little bit towards the end to fill that 50 minutes. But yeah, overall, I thought it was quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There was, I mean, I appreciate the lower pace, the slower pace as well. It gives you a little bit more time to have a bit of character progression, which they did a little bit with Captain Jack. I like the flashback scenes.
I liked that.
It was really good. The opening scene where Jack's he's fallen asleep, obviously. Captain Jack that never sleeps, by the way, and he's fallen asleep and he's having a bit of a nightmare. And but they only show a little bit of it, don't they? Because he wakes up. We only see like one of the soldiers on the train carriage with the petals in his mouth, and then he wakes up suddenly. Which is another thing that was a bit of a prelude, because Captain Jack must have known that something like this was coming up, because he has this nightmare about the fairies. Yeah. And then, smack in the face, here's a fairy problem that he has to deal with. So that was cool. And then later on, when he's telling Gwen about what happened, he was in charge of this little squadron of soldiers. And they killed a girl accidentally, and she was a chosen one that the fairies had chosen. And then it's really creepy, actually. I found that bit really creepy. They did it really well when the train goes through the tunnel. And because Captain Jack's not really involved in all the ruckus that's going on. All these soldiers are having a drink and a laugh and playing cards, and it's quite loud. And then when they go through the tunnel, and when Captain Jack's sort of narrating over the flashback, he's like, and then came the silence. And then it's horrible because the carriage is pitch black and everything just goes deadly silent. And then when it comes out the other end of the tunnel, all the soldiers are dead. Yeah. It was done really well. So I like the flashback sequence, and it was a really cool little, like I said, the story is made up of 2 parts really. And the link is Estelle, wasn't it? Because they tried to play it off as it was Jack's dad in the photograph with Estelle. Yeah. Even though Gwen knew it was Jack, really. So it was cool that that's half of the story gave us a bit more of an insight into Jack and how long he's actually been alive. And
I really liked that part of the story. Yeah. I love the fact we got a bit more character development from Jack, and a bit more thing. Because I was trying to think though, how does Gwen work it out? Because she doesn't know a lot about Jack yet, does she? She doesn't know he's like immortal. Oh, I suppose she does because he's got her, but she doesn't know that much about Jack yet. So I was surprised she worked it out so quickly. But I loved all that he was actually, Estelle was an old girlfriend who's obviously got old, and he's still the same, So I thought that was really good. Yeah, I think the thing that I'm sort of was unclear about throughout this whole episode was why the fairies were killing people, though. I mean, why did they kill all the people on Jack's train?
Well, that's it, because when they select somebody, a little girl as the chosen one, there's then that process of them sort of bringing her into the fairy world, if you like. And what they'll do is they'll they become very protective, I suppose, of the chosen one, which is why in the story, when the two girls are bullying Jasmine in the playground, they sort of turn up and turn the wind machine on and scare the crap out of everyone. And it's the same thing with the guy, the creepy guy, waiting outside the school because he made an attempt to harm her, I suppose. Yeah, abduct her. They're not having it. So, and I think it's the same situation because Jack explains in that flashback that I think it was the day or the week before they're on that train, all of those soldiers got really drunk and knocked over that little girl. And so the fairies act their revenge on the soldiers. But because Jack wasn't involved in that, they left him alone.
Oh, okay, I must have missed that. That's really strange. Yeah, again, I should have gone back and rewatched it. Yeah, because I didn't pick up on that. So maybe I was getting a coffee at that point. I don't know.
Maybe you were checking Twitter or something at the time.
Yeah, I must have drifted off at that point because I didn't get that.
Yeah,
right.
Jack does explain that, but that's how the soldiers died. It was like the fairies' revenge for killing their chosen one at that time.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame my other half for that then, because I remember fans saying to me, "Why didn't they kill Jack?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." So he's probably talking over it. So I'm going to blame Fan for that one.
Blame him. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also So I like the link between the two sides of the story is Estelle. She's a really cool. I really liked her.
I did. Yeah.
Very great actress.
I didn't like it when she died. I knew she was going to have to. I knew straight away as soon as the connection with Jack, I was like, well, she's a goner. But I liked her as well. I thought she was really good. Yeah, it's quite a horrific her scene as well because considering she was just getting pelted by rain, it actually worked quite well, didn't it? I thought, well, it's quite a sad death for her, I thought.
Yeah, it was sad. And Eve Pierce, who played Estelle, she's still with us. She's 89, good. Still going strong. She's played that really well and I felt really, that's one of the cool things about anything to do with Russell T Davies. He really creates that essence of caring for characters most of the time. And Estelle's a perfect example of that. She's not the main focus of the story. She's kind of a plot device to get Torchwood to investigate the fairies in the first place. Yeah. But because we have that emotional connection, because she's such a lovely person, and we know that even though they've tried to palm it off as it was Jack's dad who was in the relationship, we know it was Jack.
We knew it was Jack, yeah.
Yeah, we have that sort of emotional connection. And when she dies, it's actually quite sad because she plays the part so well. She's just this lovely old woman who's just got something left in her life that she's passionate about. She's obviously retired or whatever. She's got no family around. So the whole fairy thing is what's left for her, really. That's the thing that she's passionate about. And so that invokes that connection, and it's really sad. And I'll tell you what, the death scene was scarily well done with her, because when they turn up in the garden and she's laying there, her dead body, the way that John Barrowman handles her body, she's just properly limped out. It really felt like it was scarily realistic, because the way he lifts her head up and it's all floppy and the skin's all grey. I was like, crikey, they've done a good job here.
Yeah, really I thought it was very well done, actually. I guess that's down to Alice Troughton's direction, I suppose, or the editing, I don't know. But yeah, I thought the same, mate. I thought I was really sad to see. I knew it was coming, but I was really sad when as soon as she went out that door, I was like, she's looking for the cat, wasn't she? I was like, oh no, that's it. She's a goner. But it was very well done.
It was, yeah.
I love the interaction between her and Jack, actually. And like you said, I think they really played well off each other, those two.
Yes, they did. Okay, let's rattle through a few characters then. What did you think to the creepy guy then, the abductor?
He's horrible, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was realistically creepy.
I was going to say, it's weird, isn't it? Because he's probably one of these people that's really nice in real life, but he's so convincing as that horrible character that... yeah, he was quite good casting. I found him suitably creepy. Yeah. I wouldn't say he's the best actor in the world, but he certainly fitted that part. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't great in terms of the subject matter, but played very well, though. Played very well.
He was good. I don't know what the actor's name was, but he was quite suited to that part, yeah.
Yeah. That guy, I can't remember his name. don't know.
Because there's that bit where he's getting killed in the cell, isn't it? And they're showing it on the camera, and he's probably like throwing himself around the cell. Yeah.
He must have hated filming that bit through the market as well, because he's constantly
looks horrible.
Yeah, he's like, his eyes are bloodshot, and he's constantly choking himself and coughing up. And
kudos to him for like the scene when he's dead, and Gwen, is it Gwen or it might be Toshiko, takes the petal out of his mouth. She takes about 2 or 3 out of his mouth with some tweezers, and he has to remain. I kept thinking, I was watching to see if he blinked or moved or anything, because it's quite a close-up shot of his face, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he does it really well. I kept thinking it must be horrible having someone putting tweezers down your throat. So kudos to him for managing not to blink, and for good bit of dead acting there from that guy.
A bit of well, there's a lot of good dead acting in this, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and the 2 police. So we have the police constable who arrests him at the market, and then we have the sergeant who's at the police station. Typical Bobby's on the beat. No surprises there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, typical Bobby's on the beat.
What about Jasmine's parents then? So we've got, this is kind of more of a realistic view, I suppose, on modern life. It's the original father has buggered off when Jasmine was a baby, and the mum has taken up with somebody else, who on the surface seems like a bit of a nice guy, but he actually seems like a bit of a dick.
Yeah, I was going to say he's
not the nicest of stepdads, because I think he comes across to the mum as a nice guy, doing right by her daughter and taking her to school and all that lot, and coming across as caring. But he actually says some nasty things to her, like when he's that sort of halfway through when he's taking her to school. I think he says something like, "It's no wonder your dad left when you were
he's horrible."
Something. Yeah, he's horrible.
Yeah.
And then he gives her a shot as well, doesn't he, at the bottom of the garden? She realised that he's boarded the fence back up and repaired it. And and he gives her a slap. So I wasn't a fan of him at all, really. I think, again, he played the guy played the part well. I think his name was William Travis. Roy, I think the guy's name was. And he played it very well. But I think that's what an overarching thing about the performances in this is that some of them were scarily realistic. For what they were hired to do. And I think the direction was great for that. I think Alice Troughton really got, under the skin of some of the story themes and the elements in this. Even something that's not a main part of the story, like the relationship between Jasmine and her stepdad. That wasn't the driving force of the story. It was just something else to make you want to hate that character. So when he got killed by the fairies, it was like, got your comeuppance there. Get rid of him. But again, it was cool, and the mum was quite cool. She had a cracking scene. Adrienne O'Sullivan, who played Lynn, Jasmine's mum, she had a cracking scene towards the end where she realises that Jack sent Jasmine off with the fairies.
She really goes for that. Yeah,
she legs at him, screaming, hitting him and everything. It's a great little sort of anti-climax, I suppose.
No, I agree with you, mate. I thought they were both good. I just going back to the direction as well. Yeah, I think Alice Troughton does a great job on this, and I thought the music really added to it as well. Actually, is that is it him? Is it Murray? I don't know if it is, because they never listed it. Whoever did the music for this, I thought it really added to the atmosphere of the whole story. It was very nice, underplayed sort of music and stuff. And the bit you said about when he puts the fence up, that's great when that fairy smashes through it. Quite a simple effect, but it looked really good, I thought, considering some of the CGI is a bit dated in this, obviously, but that looked good, I thought. Good performances from those guys. The parents, I thought.
Yeah, and I thought the music was really nice, especially towards the end. That music was lovely. I don't think it's...
No, I don't think it is Murray. I can't remember who does the music for Torchwood. I mean, I think he does the theme tune, doesn't he? But I don't think he does the instrumental music. I'm not sure. Somebody out there will know, but it was very good. Yeah, very nice. It really adds to the sort of atmosphere of this story. Yeah.
Estelle, we've spoken about.
Really liked her. Very good performance. Yeah, lovely understated performance. And she's charming when she's with Jack, isn't she? Yeah. Just something about an older character when they're all excited and they're getting, like she's, like you said, she's passionate about this whole taking photos of the fairies. And when she's doing her slideshow and she's like, well, it didn't come out very well, I'm afraid. And everyone's rolling their eyes. But no, she was really nice performance. So Eve Pierce, really nice performance as Estelle.
What about Jasmine then? The chosen girl, the chosen one.
The chosen one.
Not too
she's
bad.
all right. Yeah, she's not too bad.
Yeah, you have to sort of forgive a little bit with young child actors. It's no idea how much experience she's had. I don't know if she's done anything since this, or I'm not sure, but she wasn't too bad.
No, as child actors go, she was perfectly reasonable. Yeah.
Yes, and I thought that she played the menacing, like when the two girls are getting blown to, in the school playground. Yeah. And she's just standing there grinning. I thought she played those type of scenes very well.
Yeah.
So I thought she was okay. Yeah,
she looked suitably creepy in those scenes. I thought that,
a very fleeting little appearance.
Another little
by
fleeting
Reese.
Appearance from Reese. I know. Yeah.
He just turns up with Gwen, doesn't he, to their apartment. It's been trashed by the fairies, obviously.
It's really weird, isn't it? Because he's had a couple of little scenes in the last few episodes where he just literally pops up just to remind us he's in the show. Mm-hmm. And he's always so good, even though he's on screen for a matter of minutes, if that. Yeah. He's always just really a welcome sight to see Reese. He always brings a little bit of humour to it and stuff. So I'm glad we get to see more of him as the series goes on, because he's a good character.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just like a cameo, really, at the moment.
It is. And that's a good scene, actually, when they turn up at the flat and it's all wrecked, because it brings it home, doesn't it, that Gwen's furious, isn't she? So that is a good scene. Yeah,
it is good. And we have another very small, because last week we had a proper, not last week, the last time we reviewed Torchwood, it was all about Yanto, wasn't it? It was a Yanto folk, but now he's gone back to, like Reese, that character has gone back to just a little cameo at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's it, because he's wandering through the hub, isn't he? And Captain Jack's like, don't you ever sleep? And that's it.
He's lucky he's still there after that Cyberwoman incident. Yeah. Anyway, he's hardly in it.
He's hardly in it, but nothing to mention. And then, like you said at the very beginning, Tosh and Owen, they kind of get swept to the side in this, don't they? They don't really contribute too much. I can't think of
any scene they're in, apart from one brief scene where they're sort of having a bit of a joke with Gwen and Jack. And do you know what? I still don't feel the chemistry between this cast. That's why I like the fact that we get just Jack and Gwen go off and get, we get sort of a nice bit of chemistry between those two. Whenever they're all together, and it's down to the script, it's written as they're always sort of joking and jibing each other, and there's sort of, I don't know, I'm still not liking it when they're together as a team, but I like it when we get them separated off in their little groups, like Jack and Gwen. So they're only in that tiny little scene, aren't they?
They are. Yeah. They're okay. They just don't really do much. I mean, Tosh, she's on the laptop as usual. She's
playing Candy Crush.
She alerts them, doesn't she, to the storms that are breaking out. Little isolated little things that the fairies are causing, but that's about it, really. Not too much from those guys, but I agree with you. The chemistry isn't quite there yet.
Not as a group, no.
Yeah, and then Gwen Cooper then. So Eve Miles, she's pretty cool in this.
Yeah, she's good, yeah.
I like she comes across as genuinely scared. A couple of times when they turn up at the school to investigate, she goes round the side by herself and she can hear the fairies up in the trees, and she, like Jack, she craps herself, legs off. And so I like that she was genuinely frightened at various points in this.
Yeah, I thought she's good. Great, as I said, when she really sort of lets rip about the flat being, trashed and stuff like that. So, no, she is good. She's really settled into the part, I think, by now. And she's very good with John Barrowman together in this as well.
Very good. Like the last scene where she can't believe that that Jack's letting her go off with the fairies. She's really distraught. And
she can't believe it, can she? Yeah.
Oh, she's good. I like. She has settled into it as well by now. And then John Barrowman is Jack.
So I'm pleased to say, he's much better in this than he was in the previous story, Cyberwoman, because we both said he just didn't seem... He seemed like he was having a bit of a laugh on set, didn't he, in that story? We just couldn't take him seriously. But because he's much quieter and toned down in this story, it's so much better. And I like this sort of backstory about him, getting to know a little bit more about the fact that he's sort of seen all this stuff. He's been alive for goodness knows how long. And there's this old girlfriend introduced, but we're not quite sure, And so the backstory that we're starting to get for Jack's becoming more interesting now. And I think he was really good in this story, especially the end when he has to make that decision of letting the little girl go, knowing that, she's going to be taken away from her parents. I mean, yeah, I thought he was pretty good in this story, I have to say. It's nice to just see him quieten down the performance a little bit, be a bit more natural rather than sort of gun-toting, a quick quip at every turn sort of Jack. It's nice to just see the performance toned down from him a little bit.
Yeah, it's it's not understated, but it's a calmer.
Definitely calmer performance, yeah.
Quieter, performance. And that's sometimes you need that. Sometimes, whether it's for a couple of scenes or whether it's an entire episode like this, I think sometimes you need just a different perspective on somebody. And like you said, we don't always want to see the quick joking, typical, gun. So, we need to see a different side, don't we?
Yeah, because he can be a bit smug sometimes, can't he, Captain Jack? He can be a bit full of himself. And it's just nice to see him just, toning it down a bit in this one. Yeah.
And we do have a couple of scenes, like at the very end, I think he overplayed it a little bit, like when he's shouting at the fairies that are up in the trees and when he's shouting at Gwen. I think those little scenes, sometimes he does a little bit theatre, but overall...
I know what you mean. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Overall, not too bad. Was there anything else that we need to go into before we stamp our scores on it?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it, actually. Yeah, I haven't got anything else to say on it.
Yeah, it's a fairly simplistic story, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so I think it's me to go first.
It is you this time.
Okay. I'm going to give this a...
Can you hear the cogs turning in your head?
Yeah. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
7. Now, I can see why you struggled there, because I was exactly the same. When it finished, I sat there and I hovered my pen over the pad, just like you, for a good 30 seconds to a minute, thinking, I don't know, because I was somewhere between a sort of 6.5 and 7. I went with a 7. That's what I've written down. So I am the same as you this week.
A 7. Right.
But I know why you've struggled there, because it's a little oddity, isn't it, this one? It's not brilliant, but it's also not bad. And it's certainly above average.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think a 7.
7, yeah. Reasonable score.
Yeah.
What did our listeners think? We've got some audio clips in as well as a few social bits. Let's kick off with our first audio clip. This is Ash Prosser.
Hello, Gary and Adam from the Doctor Who Big Blue Box podcast. This is Ash Prosser with a review for Torchwood Small Worlds. I think that it's a good story about loss and the willingness to make the hard decisions. The acting was poorly choreographed when interacting with the fairies, as the actors never seemed as though they were looking at the creatures, more staring into the distance. Laura Philippott, who played Jasmine, stood out as a good child actor when it was her turn in the spotlight. An interesting look into Jack's past, with the flashbacks of his military company and love for Estelle leave you yearning to learn more about him and what he's been through. All in all, it's an okay story, only really being necessary to flesh out Jack's past. A solid 5 out of 10 from me. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Is that first time audio review?
No.
Oh.
No. It's cool, though.
Yeah, very nice.
Ash Prosser, thank you very much. Over on Twitter, we only had one over on there. It was one of our writers, Jordan Shortman. He says, it's definitely the best and my favourite episode of Torchwood. The fairies are quite creepy and there is some character development for Jack. It's a sad ending with someone losing their daughter and boyfriend on the same day, but it's certainly a highlight episode. He also gives it a 7 out of 10.
7. Favourite episode, blimey.
Favourite, yeah. Let's go back to the audio stuff. This is for Sammy from Satine from Down Under.
G'day, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, Small Worlds, based on the 5 photographs taken by cousins Elsie and Francis called the Cotter Lingley Fairies. There's a movie based on these photographs called Fairy Tale, a True Story from 1997. This is Torchwood's take on it. I love Estelle. I find Jasmine a bit creepy though. I also find it interesting that the fairies changed from looking sweet to full-blown nasty creatures. I like this story, and the writer, Peter's next story, Out of the Rain, for Torchwood Series 2. I give it 10 chosen ones out of 10. See ya.
Wowzers.
10 out of 10.
Maximum reviewage.
Wowzers, Sammy.
Yeah, let's continue. Thank you, Sammy. Let's continue the audio clips, though. This is Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gam in the Big Blue Box podcast. This is my review for the Torchwood episode Small World. To my knowledge, it's the only thing that I like about it, I find it quite dreadful, the whole kid story arc, and I believe this is the one with the petals, and it's a bit grotesque. I know that's what Torchwood are going for, but I just don't get it, I'm going to be honest. I liked Jack and the lady's relationship. I like the fact that they kind of give you a reminder that Jack's lived so long. I think that's the only decent part of the story. I think the characters are fine, they're serviceable. It's just an odd story, and there is that scene with that man. I'm not going to go into how he acts, but it's certainly odd, and felt out of place, really. And it felt like they used a bad guy. They used that kind of person as a representation for the monsters to help the kid. And I didn't feel like you needed to go to that extreme. I get we're pushing boundaries now, but just not for me. I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it's okay, but it's just a bit. It's not okay. It's below par. It makes you feel kind of sick.
Oh dear. Alex.
Oh, Alex. I'm not laughing at your review, mate. Just the fact you said it made you feel sick. Because I just got visions of you with petals coming out of your mouth now, which is awful. But oh dear. So not impressed.
Not impressed with a 4. Cheers, Alex.
No.
Over on Facebook, so Jacob Birtwhistle says, this is actually my favourite episode of Torchwood.
Another favourite.
Well, yes, it's bonkers. Some of the CGI is dated and some of the acting is laughably bad. I think it's a fascinating story. A 10 out of 10.
My word.
Andrew Cuthbert, the best Torchwood story in Series 1, and really pushes the boundaries of British television. There are some dark issues brought to the surface as we get a glimpse into Captain Jack's past. I quite like the building dynamic of Jack and Gwen's relationship too. 10 coughed up rose petals out of 10.
Wow.
Chris Parry. It was great to see another insight into Jack's past and some of the more darker elements of the story, but the one big letdown for me is the fact that the villains are fairies. Definitely the one I try not to revisit if I can help it. A 6 out of 10.
Blimey.
Martin House says, as a whole, I thought the first 2 seasons of Torchwood were great. Children of Earth had some good elements to it, but Miracle Day happened, and as much as John wants it to, I don't think the Beeb will do any more. So I think that's just a general review of Torchwood. Thank you, Martin.
Right.
Lewis Palmer says, one of my least favourites so far. It's just a bit dull. Nice to get an insight into Jack's past, and it's a decent enough plot, but it's all just quite forgettable. The CGI is pretty hilarious as well. 5 out of 10. Miles McKenzie, probably one of the strangest episodes in the series. I do like the wee glimpse into Jack's background and do like the chemistry between Jack and Gwen. The cast put up a solid performance though, so just very middle of the road, 5 out of 10. Jason Thayer, creepy fairies, love it, 8 out of 10. And lastly, Joseph Howard says, this was a pretty boring episode. I do like that we get to see Jack's past, and honestly, the scenes with him and Gwen are the best bits of the story. Unfortunately, on the whole, it's rather slow, very repetitive, and when the fairies are attacking people, Jasmine's parents are unsympathetic asses, and the fairies themselves like an odd mixture of Gollum, an orc, and a gremlin.
Actually, it does. I'm looking at a picture of it now on Wikipedia. He's absolutely right.
Yeah. He just finishes up and says, it's very mediocre at best and just plain old boring at worst. A 5 out of 10.
Dear, oh dear.
Oh dear. So some up and down scores there. Did you have anything over on the Geek's Handbag, brother?
Yeah, just had a short and sweet from Larry Jensen, who just said he thought it was a nice insight into Captain Jack. And Kevin Mullen says, Small Worlds is a lovely little gem in a very uneven first series. Barrowman actually gives a very underplayed performance, and his relationship with Estelle is well played, being touching and heartbreaking. The fairies are actually quite sinister, and I liked Jack comparing them to the Mara. Oh, yes, he does mention the Mara.
He does.
The ending where we see Jasmine in a Victorian photograph is something straight out of Sapphire and Steel, which isn't surprising considering the story was penned by Peter J. Hammond, the creator of the show. Yes, that's true. So Kevin gives this a 7 out of 10, the same as us.
Cool. 7.
7 out of 10. 7.
So thank you all so much for your reviews. I think
that's a mixed bag, isn't it?
A mixed bag, mainly positive, I'd say. But we did have a few not happy people in there.
I'm surprised by the 10 out of 10s. I don't know about you. I mean, not that it was bad, but I'm just, a few people said it's their favourite story, which is surprising.
It is surprising. But, if you like it, you like it.
Yeah, you like it.
Next week, we're going to bring back from the depths of cancelled shows the 11th Doctor story that we were meant to do last month. So what we got next week, dude?
Yeah, so next month, 11th Doctor action, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. Next month.
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week. Genter to the centre of the TARDIS. Journey to the centre of the TARDIS. Yeah, so those of you that sent in audio clips and reviews and stuff last month for that, I've still got them, so don't worry. But
I've got them.
Yeah, I'll still put out a post on Monday anyway, if you want to contribute, if you haven't already done that. So, yeah, get that watched for next week. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this one, buddy. I don't think we've ever mentioned this episode, ever.
No, we haven't. No, it's going to be a good one to review, I think.
It is, yeah. And I think we'll do it, mate, for 201.
Okay. Thank you so much for sticking with us and listening through episode 201.
We have some good news and some sad news today.
Yeah.
Great news that we've got, finally, they've left it very late, the broadcast date for Series 11. But it's going to be with us, the 7th of October, on a Sunday, no less.
On Sunday, yeah.
So get that in your calendars. I'm sure all you guys have got it anyway, but get it in your calendars. We still don't know a time. It's going to be either before or after Strictly. I'm guessing before.
I'm before.
I'm just throwing it out, yeah. I think it's going to be before.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you very much for all of your audio reviews and your little thoughts over on Twitter and Facebook. Very much appreciated. Next week, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, the Matt Smith story. So get that watched, because we'll be asking you lot for what you think about that one. In the meantime, head over to the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there. Plus, you can link off to all of the social channels and give us a like and a follow and all that nonsense, because we do chat lots of Doctor Who during the week in between shows. Also, if you don't subscribe to the show on your podcast app, give that a go. On iTunes, just do a search for the Big Blue Box podcast, or any other podcast network. We should be on most of them. Drop us a sub, and if you're an iTunes listener, if you could spare a moment for a review and a rating, that would be amazing, because that really helps us. And thank you to all those that have done so far. Remember to check out Adam's channel, the
Geeks Handbag.
The Big Geeks, whatever.
The Big Handbag of Geeks.
The Geeks Handbag.
That's the one.
Over on YouTube. Give him a subscribe and all that stuff. Plenty of awesome videos and a raft of cool videos that he's brought out over the last couple of weeks. Very cool.
Very busy bee lately, yeah.
And you're also on the usuals, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, I love me Insta.
Love your Insta. Yes. So just go and do all that stuff, essentially. That way you'll never miss the waffle and when new stuff drops. Episode 202 next week will be Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. So just get that watched. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...